Hello and welcome back to UniWest YouTube channel. In this video we'll explore the EVI's 64 channel array with the auto calibration routine. So here are the accessories that we'll use. So we have the array scanner, and then we have the probe head, part number US 4546. It's 200 kilohertz, 64 coils. We have the cable, part number 75915. It's a 27-pin Fisher to a 12-pin LEMO. And then we have an aluminum reference standard, part number 101222A for aluminum. It has EDM notches in it at 8 thousandths, 20 thousandths, and 40 thousandths deep. And then we also have just a piece of 1/4 inch thick aluminum to supply kind of a runway, if you will, for the scanner, so that the encoder wheels can be at the same level as the reference standard. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. First thing we'll do is connect the array scanner to the 12-pin end of the cable, and then we'll connect the 27-pin end of the cable to the EVI. And it will auto recognize that you've plugged in an array scanner, and it'll automatically load the appropriate initial settings for the scanner. So we see it recognizes we have the smart device. It's loading the settings. We have kind of a status bar going on up here, giving us the percentage of completion. So we've went ahead and set up the initial settings for it. So now at this point you could go ahead and you could do a manual calibration of the EVI by selecting one channel, adjusting the frequency, the gain, rotation, liftoff, etc., and then apply those settings to all channels. But in today's video we'll use the array auto calibration script to simplify the process. So we need to get to the main menu, so we'll press F4 to show the main menu, and then we're going to go back up a level here. We're going to go scroll down to auto calibrate, run script, press enter, press auto calibrate, or go to auto calibrate and then press enter, and we're going to scroll down to multiplexer _ ABS _ calibration. Right here, enter. So on this screen we need to set the target voltage and the tolerance. So we're going to do that with F2 and F3, and we're going to go ahead and just keep them the default here. So the target voltage is going to be 10 volts and the tolerance is going to be 5%, and we'll hit F1 for finished. And then the next on-screen instructions say to set the frequency, the low pass, and the high pass. And so we're going to have our frequency at 200 kilohertz. We're going to go ahead and keep the low pass filter at 100 hertz and the high pass filter at off. So we'll hit F1 for finished. And now the EVI was going to go ahead and set up all 64 channels for the 200 kilohertz, the low pass, the high pass. And so we're seeing that it's setting up the different coils. So it's going through up here in the upper left, coil number 20, 21, 22, etc. So it'll take a few seconds for it to get through all 64 of those. All right, so in this screen, it's going to walk us through nulling or balancing the EVI. So we're going to place the coils, in this case between the 40 thousandths and the 20 thousandths notches, away from both of the notches. Just a note, as we're going through this, you want to use kind of the same pressure throughout that you would use during the actual scanning process. So keep my hand on this, press F1 when ready to null. It's going through the nulling process. Now we're going to adjust the rotation liftoff. So we're going to keep it away from the notches, and then we're going to lift the scanner up and hold that for about a second and then put it back down. So start the process, lift it off, set it back down, hit F1. So now it's calculating the different rotation angles for all 64 channels. So it calculated everything. Now it's actually setting the different channels for the liftoff. They're all right around 110 degrees. So now we're going to run the scanner over the 20 thousandths notch. So press F1, run it over the notch, hit F1 to stop. It's making gain adjustments or calculating gain adjustments, and now it's actually doing the gain adjustments to all 64 channels. And now we're going to do another null, so we're going to be just between the 8 thousandths and the 20 thousandths. We'll just keep the scanner where it's at, off of the notches. Press F1 to null. And now we're going to go back over the 20 thousandths notch. Doing some additional gain adjustments. And the calibration has been successful, so we have a kind of a table showing the different coils and the gain adjustments for them. But we'll exit out of this, and we'll hide the menu, and we're going to come down here, press null, and as we scan across there, we see our 3 notches. So we've done a successful calibration. We have our C-scan going on here. We do actually have another standard here that you could look at, or any standard that you have, but this one happens to be kind of a universal standard that has some fasteners in it with notches and lots of engraving in it. Obviously we haven't calibrated for this specifically, but it's the same grade of aluminum. So if I put the scanner away from any notches, hit null, and now we can scan across there. And we can actually see the notches in the fasteners. We can see the engraving. So kind of an interesting display to look at. Now, if we wanted to save this setup for later so that we didn't have to go through this auto calibration process, we can go back to the menu, hit cancel to go up a level. We're going to go to File, hit Enter, and we're going to come down to Save, hit Enter, and now we need to enter a file name for this setup. So if we hit Enter, it takes us to the built-in text editor where you would use the scroll bars to cycle through the different letters and hit enter and whatnot. That's a little bit time consuming, so we'll use instead a keyboard that we have attached through the USB. So we'll just name this 64 underscore 64 underscore AL. I can't seem to type. And then we'll just hit enter. So we've saved that setup now, and if we want to come back at a later time and recall that setup, it's all we have to do is come down to load, hit enter, find the file that we created, in this case 64 underscore AL, hit enter. Yes, I want to load that file. And so now it's loading the settings. Hit a status bar up here saying we're 73% of the way loaded. All right, so that's been loaded. So now we can do the same thing as before. We can just null it and then scan across here. And that would avoid going through the auto calibration process. Although quite honestly, the calibration process is pretty quick, but it's handy to have that file set up saved for a later date. So this concludes our video for today. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more videos in the future.